Pay attention, you bastards.
Man, I feel like at this point, is it ever gonna stop? This has been going on for so long. I feel like, when does it end? Those of you who don't know, Ray J has filed a lawsuit against Kim Kardashian in response to them suing him for defamation of character. Now, for those of you who don't know, been under a rock for the last, I don't know, 2 decades, Kim Kardashian and Ray J had a sex tape, right? So, obviously, Kim Kardashian, she was able to take that situation, make something out of that, and blow it up to the point where her company is now valued at $5 billion, which is Skims. Now, Ray J has been successful, obviously Brandy brother, but he's been able to dive into business along with entertainment, and now he's getting heavier and heavier in streaming, which I understand because he's pushing his brand. You know what I'm saying? He's making his brand bigger and bigger, and I think that's a smart move for Ray J, right? So both of them have been able to get past this and just keep living their lives. I feel like, you know what I'm saying? Again, maybe Kim bigger than Ray J. You know what I'm saying? She was able to take it and run with it in a certain way. But at the end of the day, both of them have been able to, surpass this situation and take this and pretty much level up, right? You know what I'm saying? But I feel like, why still talk about it? That's my biggest thing. It's like, why are we still having the conversation? Why are we still talking about the same thing over and over and over again? At the end of the day, man, like, it happened. Y'all both was able to take it and run with it. You know what I'm saying? Y'all both was able to juice it. Kim more than Ray J, for sure. In Ray J's defense, Kim more than Ray J. Kim's family more than Ray J was able to take it and run with this situation and be able to really make something big out of it. But it's like, it's over. It's over with. You know what I'm saying? But I guess, they still feel away. I guess, Ray J, like, bro, like, look, this is what it is. This how I feel about this. You know what I'm saying? And he's telling his truth at the end of the day. It's like, bro, like, because I said this in a prior video. Ray J already had a name. Kim was cool. Kim was under Paris Hilton, but Ray J had already had a name. You know what I'm saying? Like, him not just being Brandy's brother. You know what I'm saying? But him being on TV shows, him doing music, him having the record One Wish, him having different things going on. And already having a bigger brand than Kim. You know what I'm saying? So, again, man, I get it. I get where Ray J's coming from, because he's like, bro, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, y'all trying to make it seem like this was my idea and I'm the scumbag, and my kids have to look at this and say, yo, like, you know what I'm saying? This is my dad who did this. This is my dad who's on this tape with this woman, you know what I'm saying? And vice versa. You know what I'm saying? Kim's kids, Kanye's kids got to look at this situation and say, this was my mom. You know what I'm saying? So I get it. I think that, speaking on it, you telling your truth. I look at it from both sides, though. On one hand, it's like you're speaking on it. You're telling your truth. You're saying, hey, look, this happened. They trying to make me out to be this, but that's not the case. And I get it, because, I feel like Ray J is defending himself, because for a long time it did look like Ray J, was the one who leaked it. Ray J was the one who put the tape out and, is trying to really capitalize off the whole situation. You know what I'm saying? It did look like the man. You know what I'm saying? But from what he's saying, nah, bro, Kris Jenner was the one who set this whole thing up. Kris Jenner was the one who, orchestrated everything. Hey, yo, you should put this out. You should run with it. You should do this. You should do that. You know what I mean? And that was really the thing. Now, again, man, I don't know. You know what I'm saying? Because you got to say alleged. You got to say allegedly. We can't say, hey, this person did this for sure, or that person did this for sure. But people are saying, this is what people are saying. And people have been saying this for years, that because Paris Hilton had a tape, Kim was like, yo, like, this might be my thing. You know what I'm saying? This might be something that could really push my brand to the next level. Because we in the content world know, if you can get some exposure, that's amazing marketing. And you can be able to take that and level up off that. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people don't really get it. that's not into entertainment, that's not into content. They're like, oh, I don't want to be famous, and I get it, right? But at the same time, if you're an entrepreneur, right, or you're trying to become an entrepreneur and you're trying to promote something, right, you have to have exposure. The more exposure is better. You know what I'm saying? The more exposure you can get, the further you can push. You can push your brand because you have more clientele, you have a bigger audience, you can sell more product, etc., etc. So it's this whole thing has been an interesting situation, man. I just think that they both won. Like I said, they both was able to win from it. I think that Ray J suing, that's something he had to. It's not like he had a choice, right? If somebody sues you, you gotta respond. You know what I'm saying? So you have to counter sue. You know what I'm saying? So I get that. You know what I mean? It's just one of them things where it's just like, when is enough, right? When do we say, what it is, you do you, I'm gonna do me, it is what it is, right? I think that Kim and Kris is like, man, our brand is here now, and you keep bringing this up, is making us look crazier and crazier and crazier. You know what I'm saying? Because now that the brand is here, it's like, you know what I mean? We got different type of sponsors, we got different type of businesses that we're dealing with. You know, man, we got a pretty, like, they got a global brand. You know what I'm saying? So I think that they're looking at it more from a perspective of like, bro, like you're kind of throwing salt in our game. Like, look, we did the tape. Whoever idea was, whether it was Chris's idea, whether it was Ray J's idea, whether it was Kim's idea, the fact of the matter is we did the tape. We all made some money from it, and that was that. You know what I'm saying? So it's one of them things where, like I said, I get both sides. I'm interested to see how this thing is going to unfold because, again, you dealing with, like I said, Kim's company is worth 5 B's. You know what I'm saying? So that off the rip is like, yo, you know what I mean? Like, that's, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's going to be hard to like fight against that. You know what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, man, like I said, I'm interested to see how this thing unfolds. I think that Ray J should say to itself, hey, look, man, like, let me just leave it alone. I spoke my truth already. I said what I said. Let me leave it alone. I was able to capitalize. Remember, he came out with a song before she did a lot of stuff, right? Granted, she had already had the show, but he was able to come out with a whole thing. But yeah, I mean, so like I said, Ray J really started it first. Ray J was the one that really kind of kicked it off, even though Kim had the show already, but I feel like Ray J kind of, probably rubbed her the wrong way. Even though she had the show, she wasn't necessarily talking about the tape. She was more so like, yo, the tape was what it was. I'm gonna take this and capitalize off of it. But Ray J came out and was like, yo, I hit it first. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like that probably started the whole slander thing. You know what I'm saying? I'm sure it was little things in between that, but I feel like that's what started the whole slander. It's like, yo, like, why are you saying that? Like, what's the purpose of that? You know what I'm saying? And that's what I could assume. Again, I don't know. It could have been stuff. It could have been a reasoning behind why he did that. She might have said something like, hey, bro, look, try to downplay him, and that's what it was. But at the end of the day, man, I feel like we have to just get past certain stuff. And I think that that's a huge thing to get past. You know what I'm saying? Especially like when one of the parties then ran up five billion. You know what I'm saying? Like, I would assume that that's hard to get by. But in that same breath, it's like, listen, I took an opportunity, I ran with it. You can't be mad for me doing that. Why wouldn't I do? Why wouldn't anybody do that? Why wouldn't you take an opportunity and run with it? For those of you who sit back and say, oh, Kim ain't got no talent, her family ain't got no talent, y'all be missing everything. Like, people miss the fact that people think talent should just automatically equal success. And the reality is that it doesn't always equal success. You know what I'm saying? Marketing usually equals success. And that's what a lot of people don't get. They feel like, oh, well, this person's talented or that person doesn't have no talent, so they shouldn't be as successful as they are. Whole time it's like, bro, I got attention. If I have attention, I can sell products and sell services. You know what I'm saying? That is the reality. You know what I mean? So it's like, I think that, for the people that sit back and really just be mad at Kim and mad at the family, and they get down on themselves because it's like, man, they just give anybody a platform. Y'all missing it. I think that y'all missed the whole thing, and usually those are people that don't really understand marketing and understand attention, and don't really say to themselves, hey, look, why don't I try to get attention? Why don't I, market myself better? Why don't I put myself, it don't gotta be a sex tape. It could be putting myself just out there in general, and just putting more eyes on myself, because then I could sell what I'm trying to sell. You know what I'm saying? And I think that's, at the end of the day, you gotta respect Kim and the family for that. You gotta respect them for saying, hey, there was an opportunity. It was a negative opportunity. I turned it into a positive opportunity. Took that, created a whole show for my family. You know what I'm saying? Put the whole family on, even though we already had money, because obviously Rob Kardashian, you know what I'm saying, the dad, he was with OJ, you know what I'm saying, on the attorney side. So obviously he had money, so the family had some money. So it's not like they were starting from ground zero. Kim said all the time, I grew up in Beverly Hills. You know what I'm saying? So it's not that they didn't have any money, but it's like, I was able to take what my parents did, take the opportunity that I had, and capitalize off that, and go from multi-millions